My wife looked at me with this disgusted expression and goes, "Military benefits don't impress anyone anymore. Real women want men with exciting careers." This was right after I'd questioned where she got the money for another $1,000 designer handbag when we're supposed to be saving for a house. I just looked at her and said, "You're right about excitement." Then I used my counterintelligence training to trace her mysterious income sources and called the security office about her undisclosed foreign contacts from her cultural exchange, volunteer work. She discovered real quick that some careers require way more discretion than others when the FBI showed up to arrest her for selling classified information access to foreign agents. She's now in federal prison while I got promoted for my role in exposing a military spouse espionage ring. But let me back up because this whole thing was absolutely fucking insane from start to finish. So I'm former Marine, did 2 tours overseas, now work as a defense contractor with top secret clearance. Good job, steady income, about 180 a year, but I live pretty simply. Drive a 5-year-old truck, shop at Costco, save money like my drill instructors taught me to save ammo. Old habits. Been married to Jessica for 3 years. Met her right after I got out. She seemed to love the whole military thing back then. Thought it was sexy that I served my country, said she wanted to be a military wife, all that. But somewhere around last year, her attitude started changing. Suddenly everything about military life was boring or embarrassing. My buddies from the Corps, too intense. My disciplined lifestyle, uptight. The steady government contractor income, not ambitious enough. Look at Sarah's husband, she'd say, talking about her friend whose guy works in tech. He's taking her to Dubai next month. When's the last time we went somewhere exciting? I'm like, we went to the beach in Virginia last summer. That was nice. Virginia Beach is not exciting, it's where poor people go on vacation. Right, poor people, with my government salary and security clearance. But here's what really started bothering me. Jessica had been spending a lot more money lately. Designer bags, expensive makeup, these spa treatments that cost like $400 each. When I'd ask about it, she'd say she was investing in herself or that she deserved nice things. "Where's this money coming from?" I asked one time when she came home with a Coach bag that cost more than my truck payment. "I've been budgeting better, finding deals." Right, budgeting her way into luxury goods. Then she started this volunteer thing with some cultural exchange program. Said she was helping foreign students and business visitors understand American culture. Real noble sounding, except she was spending like 20 hours a week on it and coming home with expensive gifts. "Oh, this bracelet. Mei Lin brought it back from Taiwan as a thank you. Isn't it gorgeous?" The bracelet looked like it cost more than I make in a week. "These people sure give expensive thank you gifts," I said. "It's cultural. In their country, good gifts show respect." Here's the thing about being in counterintelligence. You learn to notice patterns, unexplained income, foreign contacts, gifts from people with unclear motivations, changes in lifestyle that don't match documented income sources. All of this sets off alarm bells, but I'm trying to be a good husband, right? Give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she really is just better at budgeting. Maybe these foreign friends are just generous. Then came the conversation that really pissed me off. We're at a barbecue with some of my contractor buddies and their wives. Good people, steady careers, serving their country in different ways. Jessica spent the whole time talking about how boring everyone was, how she wished we had more interesting friends. On the way home, she goes, "I can't stand hanging out with military people anymore. It's always the same conversations about deployment and benefits and job security. So fucking boring. These are good people doing important work. Important work doesn't pay for vacations in Europe. We could take vacations if you weren't spending our savings on designer bags." That's when she hit me with the line about military benefits not impressing anyone and real women wanting exciting careers. I just sat there thinking, this woman married a Marine, benefits from my security clearance job, lives in base housing that I qualified for through military service, and she's shitting on the entire lifestyle that makes her comfortable life possible. "You're right about excitement. I told her. She looked surprised, like she expected me to argue. Maybe it's time I brought more excitement into our relationship. That weekend, while Jessica was at another cultural exchange event, I decided to do some reconnaissance. Not because I was looking for trouble, but because patterns that don't make sense need to be investigated. That's literally what they trained me to do. First thing I did was check our bank accounts. Jessica had been moving money around, but the amounts didn't add up to her spending. She was getting cash from somewhere that wasn't showing up in our joint finances. Second thing, I looked into this cultural exchange program she'd been volunteering with. Turned out it wasn't really a program at all. Just this informal group that met at different locations around the city. No official organization, no oversight, no real structure. Third thing, I started paying attention to the gifts she was bringing home. Not just expensive, but specific types of expensive. Electronics, jewelry, designer goods that would be easy to resell, and always from different people with foreign names. That's when I started documenting everything. Dates, names, gift descriptions, estimated values, old habits from intelligence work. Then I did something that felt like betraying my marriage but protecting my country. I called the security office at work. Hey, this is probably nothing, but I need to report some foreign contacts my wife's been having through volunteer work. Security clearance holders are required to report any foreign contacts, especially if there's any exchange of money or valuable gifts. It's not optional. Your clearance depends on complete honesty about potential security risks. What kind of contacts? I explained about the cultural exchange program, the expensive gifts, the unexplained income. The security officer was quiet for a long time. We're going to need you to come in for a detailed interview. That Monday, I spent 4 hours with security investigators going through everything I documented. They asked detailed questions about Jessica's activities, her new friends, the timeline of when her behavior changed. Has she ever asked about your work? Not really, she usually says it's boring. Has she ever been alone with your work materials, computer documents, anything like that? I thought about it. She has access to my home office. I don't keep classified stuff there, but I do have my work laptop. Does she know your passwords? Fuck. She did know some of my passwords. I'd logged into accounts while she was around, maybe she'd seen me type them. Possibly. The lead investigator looked at his partner. We're going to need to monitor this situation. Can you maintain normal behavior at home while we investigate? What does that mean? It means act like nothing's changed while we figure out what your wife's actually doing. Holy shit. They thought Jessica might be involved in espionage. For the next 2 weeks, I had to pretend everything was normal while federal investigators tracked Jessica's activities. Hardest thing I've ever done, including combat deployments. At least in Afghanistan, I knew who the enemy was. Meanwhile, Jessica kept bringing home expensive gifts and talking about her exciting new friends who understood culture and sophistication. She started hinting that maybe I should find a different career, something more internationally focused. Your friend David works for that consulting company that travels all over the world, she said one night. Maybe you should look into something like that. David worked for a company that had a lot of foreign contracts and access to different types of sensitive information than my current job. I like my job, I said. But don't you want to see the world, experience different cultures? The way she said it felt like a script she'd been given. 2 weeks later, the investigators called me in again. Your wife is part of a recruitment network, the lead investigator told me. They target military spouses, especially ones married to people with security clearances. What kind of recruitment? They start with cultural exchange programs, build relationships with foreign nationals, then gradually introduce the idea of sharing information in exchange for gifts and money. What kind of information? Base schedules, personnel assignments, family information that could be used for blackmail. Sometimes they try to get spouses to encourage their partners to seek jobs with access to more sensitive materials. Everything clicked into place. Jessica's sudden change in attitude, the expensive gifts, the suggestion that I find a more internationally focused career. the foreign friends who were so interested in American military culture. How long has this been going on? We think about 8 months. Your wife has been receiving money and gifts from 3 different foreign nationals who are connected to intelligence services. Jesus Christ. The good news is that you reported it before any real damage was done, and you haven't shared any classified information. Because I don't bring classified stuff home. Right, which is probably why they were trying to get your wife to encourage you to change jobs. That night, I went home knowing my wife was essentially a foreign agent. Still had to act normal while the FBI built their case. Jessica was in the kitchen making dinner when I got home, and for the first time in months, she was being really affectionate. "How was work, baby?" she asked, which was weird because she never asked about my work. "Same old stuff. You know, I was talking to some of my friends from the cultural program, and they mentioned there are companies that hire people with your background for really exciting international projects." "What kind of projects?" "Consulting work, security assessments for overseas companies. The pay is supposed to be amazing and you get to travel." She was actively trying to recruit me into a job that would give foreign agents better access to classified information. "Sounds interesting," I said. "What companies?" She gave me 3 names. I memorized them and passed them to the investigators the next day. All 3 companies were fronts for foreign intelligence operations. The FBI moved in on a Friday morning. I was at work when it happened, which was planned so I wouldn't interfere with the arrest. Jessica and 4 other military spouses were taken into custody for conspiracy to commit espionage. The cultural exchange program was a complete fabrication designed to identify and recruit people with access to sensitive information. Turns out Jessica had been sharing information about my work schedule, our friends in the military community, and details about base security procedures. She'd also been trying to get other spouses to photograph documents or share information about their partner's deployments. The crazy part is, she genuinely thought she was just being friendly and making extra money. The foreign handlers had convinced her that sharing basic information about military life was harmless cultural exchange. But there's no such thing as harmless information when you're dealing with foreign intelligence services. Base schedules become attack planning. Personnel information becomes recruitment targets. Family details become blackmail material. Jessica's bail hearing was surreal. This woman who'd been complaining about my boring military career was now facing federal espionage charges because of her connection to that same military community. She pleaded guilty as part of a plea deal that got her 8 years in federal prison. Could have been life if she'd gone to trial. The whole military spouse community turned against her. These women who'd been her friends for years, who'd trusted her with personal information about their families, found out she'd been sharing their details with foreign agents. She lost everything: military spouse benefits, access to base services, her entire social network. Even her family back home stopped talking to her once the case made national news. Me, the FBI and my security office were impressed with how I handled the situation. Reported suspicious activity immediately, cooperated fully with the investigation, maintained operational security throughout. Got a commendation and a promotion. But honestly, the hardest part wasn't the investigation or the legal stuff. It was realizing that the woman I married had been willing to betray not just me, but our entire community, for designer handbags and spa treatments. She'd complained that military life wasn't exciting enough, then got involved in actual espionage, and discovered that real excitement comes with real consequences. I learned that when someone starts disparaging the values that brought you together, they might be preparing to betray those values entirely. I learned that lifestyle changes that don't match documented income deserve investigation, not excuses. And I learned that sometimes protecting your country means protecting it from the people closest to you. My new girlfriend is also military Air Force intelligence officer. She understands operational security, respects classified work, and would never ask me to compromise my clearance for luxury goods. When she talks about excitement, she means the satisfaction of serving your country and building something meaningful together. When she wants nice things, she buys them with her own military salary. It's secure, it's honest, it's absolutely wonderful, and the best part, she thinks Jessica's whole situation is a perfect example of why foreign intelligence services target military spouses. They look for people who feel entitled to more than their partner's service provides, she told me. People who prioritize lifestyle over loyalty. That's exactly what happened. Jessica wanted the status of being a military wife without the values that make military families strong. She wanted the benefits without the sacrifice, the lifestyle without the commitment. Turns out, foreign agents are really good at identifying that kind of weakness and exploiting it. Sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones sleeping in your own bed.